Marinucci doing a special report for Beatles News Briefs from Capitol Records, where we're here for the White Album listening session. The session hasn't begun yet, but they're playing outtakes from the White Album on the speakers in the background. A couple of celebrities are here. Peter Asher is here. Jane Lynch is here. A lot of writers are here. Jack Oliver from Apple is here. And everybody's waiting to hear the outtakes from the album that'll be presented by Giles Martin. I'm very excited. We'll have more later.
Hello, this is Steve Marinucci with a special report on the White Album listening session we attended on September 28th at Capitol Records in the historic tower at Hollywood and Vine in Los Angeles. It's hard to really say much more than it was amazing, and I'm not saying that to be over dramatic or to overhype anything, because I don't do that. But it was pretty amazing. It really, really was. I'd say 150 of us were gathered in Recording Studio A on the first floor of Capitol Records, which is interesting because it's right outside the door. Right outside the door of the studio is a picture of Frank Sinatra, which I posted on the Beatles News and Information page, me standing near it. But there's a picture right across the hallway from where the Frank Sinatra picture is of Paul standing next to the picture, just as I did. And I couldn't resist doing that. That was fun for me. But anyway, we got there about 10:30. It was supposed to start about 11, and it started pretty close to on time. Like I said, there was about 150 to maybe 200 people. There were several celebrities. Jeff Jones, the CEO of Apple Records, was there. Jack Oliver was there. Jonathan Clyde from Apple was there. Peter Asher was there. Bob Sidemountain, who those of you that are Rolling Stones fans will recognize that name, was there. One of Duran Duran was there. Jane Lynch, actress Jane Lynch, was there, and we talked to her, and you'll hear a little interview we did with her later on in the program. And we also got to spend 15 minutes with Giles Martin. And two of the questions that part of the conversation are included in this podcast. But it's really hard to go on and on and on, because it was just amazing. They played 15 songs, 5 songs from the Easter demos, and that's the way it's pronounced now. Somebody in the Beatles News and Information group the other day told me it was Easter, and I kind of looked at it and I didn't believe it, but it's very true. That's how it's pronounced, Easter. We heard Back in the USSR, Sexy Sadie, Not Guilty, Obla Di Obla Da, and Child of Nature. Now, everyone's heard the bootlegs, and in fact, they mentioned the bootlegs before. Giles mentioned the bootlegs before he started playing them. But the quality of the Easter demos on the set is absolutely mind-blowing. For one, they're in perfect stereo, and the clarity is amazing. When the first notes of Back in the USSR came through, I was floored. They sounded fantastic. I never was really able to really take them very seriously because of the quality in the demos on the bootlegs. But when you hear the versions on the remix set, you will be astounded. You really will. You won't believe. The difference is like night and day. And then we heard 5 outtakes from the set. We heard Cry Baby Cry, I Will, Julia, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and Good Night. There are, John talks about the track getting better at the end of Julia. While My Guitar Gently Weeps has a very cool, very searing solo from Eric Clapton that's different than the master version. And then Goodnight had there's 3 takes of Goodnight on the set, and that was really interesting too. And then finally, they followed it with 5/1 mixes of Dear Prudence, Mother Nature's Son, Long, 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 Happiness is a Warm Gun, and Helter Skelter. And those on the Capitol sound system, it was like I can't. Again, I don't want to over dramatize anything and overhype it, but it was beautiful. I mean, the quality was fantastic. The mixes are really good. What was one thing that Giles said in introducing the 5/1 mixes? He said, "Do not play the Revolution number 9 5/1 mix in the dark." He says it's the most frightening thing you've ever heard. They did not play that, unfortunately, and I think I asked him about that later, and he was telling, because of the way that was mixed and all the sounds in it and everything, and the way everything kind of floated all around. But it was amazing. The session itself was amazing. We were all floored. Everybody was just taken aback, and it was just wonderful. The one thing that Giles said at the beginning was, there's always been the writers have always said it sounds like the Beatles were not together on this album, because it sounds. I mean, you've heard people say it's 4 different. It's them starting to be solo artists, and Giles said, no, that's not the case at all. You'll hear with the outtakes, you'll hear that they are playing together. So that dispels that. But it was fantastic. It really was. The funny thing about being in Recording Studio A, which is where the listening session was held, was that it was also the site for the recording of Kisses on the Bottom. At any rate, here is some of our interview with Giles, and an interview we managed to get with Jane Lynch as she was leaving the White Album session.
How long did this project take from beginning to end?
We actually started listening to stuff at the end of November in 2017.
Okay.
And then I suppose I finished the last thing and signed off on everything in May 2018. But it wasn't constant, otherwise you go mad. But long time. I mean, there's a lot of material to go through.
Oh yeah, with 2 albums.
And with 2 albums, and also the way they're recorded, that it's really important that we listen to everything for the fans and for the Beatles. You can't skip stuff. You can't have a bad day at the office. And so, in a way, you kind of do it. You dip in and out. Like all the studio outtakes, I would dip in and out of, and not do in one block, because otherwise I'll go mad.
Right. Well, you did the Pepper, and you've done this. What was the difference in doing Pepper and this? Were there different challenges with Pepper?
Yeah, I suppose with Pepper, that everyone was focused on the remix of the record because of this fact that band's mix was the mono.
Mm-hmm.
And we, almost took the influence of the mono and mixed the stereo. With the White Album, we had to find out why we were doing it before we agreed to do it, if that made sense. We started doing it without it being officially, it's not as though we have marketing meetings and they go, we're going to release this at this time.
Well, you kind of hinted at it in that, and everybody was going, we're doing the White Album next, right? And you were going, no, but
yeah,
you had...
I don't agree to these things. Like Sgt. Pepper I didn't agree to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sgt. Pepper I started doing and said, listen, I'll start doing this, but I'm not sure this is a good idea. And we started doing it. I'm only going to do it if it sounds good.
Okay.
And I thought it sounded good, and I was like, we should do this now. And they were like, okay. Well, I don't know if I said we shouldn't do this, that's fine, maybe get someone else. But I do have that trust. Paul will say to me, what do you think? And I'll go, this is what I think. And
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I do to a certain extent, because I think it's really important that it's really important not just print Beatles ashtrays and sell them. It's the same, but it's important that I don't just work on stuff so people can collect them and put them on shelves. I want people to listen to things and feel love and feel emotion and feel inspired by things, and that's why I do it. That's the reason why I do it. So you have to dig deep and find that. With the Beatles, it's easy because they have a lot of that, but at the same time, the White Album makes you feel a certain way, and you have to make sure that you feel that way when you listen to it. And then it's the other thing that drives me is I go to the studio and I get to press play on tape machines that no one ever hears, or tapes no one ever hears.
Right.
And how do I get other people to experience that? Not just for the sake of experience of it, but to be inspired by it. And I think if you hear someone talk or have a conversation, and then start singing like we with John with Julia, it kind of emphasizes the genius of the guy opposed to demeans him.
Right.
Because it's this, it's that easy. It's that easy, is it? For him, not for us. It's that easy. You can go, I might just try like this, I might just do this, and you start singing, and it's like this beauty comes out of it. One of my best experiences was I worked in a concert with Joni Mitchell once. She sat where you are sitting now, about 5 feet away, and started playing Hajira on a guitar, and it was like music just came out of her. It wasn't like and that's, to me, that's better than anything else. And so that's the motivation behind you. Suddenly realize that with all of these bits and bobs in the White Album, the issue demos and the outtakes, you can tell that story. And I suppose, even though remixing an album like the White Album is a huge task, and I'm very proud of what we do, I think it sounds good, that was almost less of a thing that it was with Sgt. Pepper.
And I'm here with Jane Lynch, who came to the listening session. Jane?
Yes.
Did you have a great time?
I did. The White Album is, I know every breath of it, and it was, I think...
Now you're singing it all.
Yeah. I loved it, and it was really moving, too, to hear it so beautifully. To have Giles Martin, the son of George Martin, be in charge of this and talk about, how he remixed this and all the outtakes. It was just really, really wonderful, and I'm so happy right now that it was just great. I think this album and then Tapestry were the two albums as a kid that I played over and over and over and over.
Thank you very much.
You bet. My
Take
pleasure.
care.
Take care. Bye.
The bulk of the Giles interview will be the basis of the story we're writing for Access.com on the listening session, and you'll see that soon. We'll let you know here when it's available. And we also may feature more of it in an upcoming Beatles News Briefs. So stay tuned and come back and see us again for not only this, but for all the regular Beatles news, which we didn't get to this time. We figured we'd just limit it to this because it was so good and such a big thing. And but we'll be back with more of the regular or the rest of the news next time. In any event, this is Steve Marinucci saying thanks to Fab4Radio.com for bringing us to you. Thank you for picking us up on TuneIn and iTunes and Podbean and every place else that we're featured, Stitcher. But thanks again for all your listening to us. And if you have comments or suggestions, we'd love to hear them. Please write to us at BeatleNewsDesk@gmail.com. Anyway, take care, folks, and have a great day.